An evacuation in a hospital in New Hampshire. A scary scene today. We're going to check it out.
And President Trump promising to declare the opioid crisis a national emergency. We'll hear from a lot of treatment providers about what they say this could mean for Maine.
Plus, a team from Maine is one game away from the Little League World Series.
This is News Center Now.
The declaration is made and the funding's available, yeah, do it. Let's do it and do it quickly.
The president's promise to declare a national emergency in response to the opioid crisis has treatment providers hopeful they can save more lives. Good evening, everybody. I'm Chris Costa in for Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Amanda Hill. The president said he only needed to file some paperwork to make it official, but he will declare the widespread painkiller addiction problem a national emergency.
Now, this could provide more government resources and funds to fight substance use disorder across the country. It could help families struggling with addiction in Maine as well. We spoke to professionals who face the problem every day about what they hope the national emergency could mean for treatment and prevention.
I've been sober for 17 years.
Gary Lamson remembers his darker days.
That was really how this all started. We just wanted to help guys.
He's the co-owner of Providence Place, a series of sober living facilities in Portland. Services he never had in his struggle with substance use.
If there was nothing available for them, then they're dying. They're dying every day. When you know these people personally, it's hard.
We're going to make it a national emergency. It is a serious problem, the likes of which we have never had.
President Trump vows to attack the crisis head on, promising to declare it a national emergency.
It's actually been heartening to see that there's been so much bipartisanship on this issue.
Bob Fowler, executive director of Milestone Foundation, the only non-hospital inpatient detox facility in Maine, says this declaration could create more funding for treatment programs.
The timing is crucial, and really what we need is a real significant investment in turning the tide on this crisis.
He says it could help lower the price of naloxone, the overdose reversal drug.
5, 4.
It could also increase the number of beds available at detox facilities. Federal law caps the number of Medicaid reimbursed beds at 16 per facility.
That the crisis is only accelerating.
He says overdose deaths are on pace to exceed last year's numbers.
It can't wait another year, 2 years, kick it down the road. If the money's available to set that kind of thing up where some guy on the street that doesn't have any money can get into a detox, he's got a shot. And that's what all we want to give these guys is a shot.
And we also reached out to the Maine Drug Enforcement Agency to see if funds or resources would be added to enforcement measures, but did not hear back. We are asking you right now, though, to tell us how you want the government to fight the opioid epidemic. Go to pulse.newscentermaine.com or select the Pulse tab on our mobile app to vote. What should be the federal government's first priority under this proposed national emergency? Should it be creating more beds for patient treatment, cracking down on drug dealers, or providing more resources and funding for education and prevention? Vote online now and weigh in with your comments on our Facebook live stream. Chris?
All right, Amanda, thanks. Right now, it's not clear how this declaration would translate to real change for the average Mainer. A spokesperson for the Maine Department of Health and Human Services responded to the president's plan in a statement saying, in part, the department agrees this is an epidemic. This is why it is important to dedicate available resources on proven, evidence-based treatment options that will provide the best results for an individual. Attorney General Janet Mills says she told the president that Maine needed help fighting the opioid epidemic, and she hopes this will give our state the resources it needs.
It is an emergency, it's an epidemic, but we don't need any declaration of emergency. It simply is an urgent situation. I told the president this myself back in February. I met with him at the White House along with Republican and Democratic attorneys general from across the country. And I asked him for greater resources for prevention, treatment, and education. Nothing's come of that. Nothing's happened. I hope he's listened to the message. I hope he's heard the message now. I hope he'll turn around and make sure that all states, including Maine, get enough resources to address this epidemic.
The last national emergency was declared by President Obama in 2009 in response to the H1N1 outbreak. With thousands of Americans coming down with the swine flu, hospitals were overloaded and needed more resources and funds. When President Obama declared it a national emergency, it allowed his Health and Human Services Secretary to make decisions and see results faster. It's not clear right now if this national emergency would have a similar effect, but we can use this previous situation as a benchmark.
The medical examiner says the body found in the Portland Harbor yesterday is Paul Kirchhoff, a fisherman from Portland. Police say he died from drowning and the death does not appear suspicious. In Exeter, New Hampshire, hospital evacuated the emergency and operating rooms today after patients and staff complained of nausea and dizziness. Initial reports say it may have been some sort of chemical leak, but it is still under investigation. We'll have much more coming up tonight. Let's get a quick check outside. Keith Carson's tough task today. Go to the Rockland Boat Show.
Oh, lucky guy, out in the sunshine. Hey, Keith, how's it looking out there?
You know, actually, it's not bad here, guys. I originally had packed jeans because Rockland at this time of the day, most of the time, isn't going to work out too good. But it's actually relatively comfortable. You can see I'm amongst boats that most of us can't afford. I think Bill Green has one of these just for his weekend boat. But this is going on all weekend. If you want to check out, they've got boats, they've got some local artisans as well, and anything boat related. They got a power tool area over here as well. Let's have a look at the radar because we're actually in a pretty good spot here over from the mid-coast into down east. Most of the showers staying away from us. There's a couple of nasty ones out there though, farther north particularly, and look back to the west. There is a ton of activity here as a cold front tries to drive through. This front is going to be a problem for us as we head into tomorrow because not only does it have a lot of showers around, it also has quite a bit of cloud cover with it. So as that moves in through tomorrow, you can see it's going to be very difficult for us to get much sunshine through the day on Saturday, and that's kind of how the day looks. Cloudy with a few showers around. I think most of the heavy shower activity will be earlier in the day. Before we get there though, overnight lows will generally be relatively temperate in the 60s and upper 50s. Dew points have crept up a bit. Typically the dew point is a little bit of a limiter for how far your temperatures can fall down. Here we are tomorrow morning, some early shower activity, a couple of downpours in there, but by later in the afternoon I think we're just cloudy with just a few isolated showers around. It's not going to be a terrible day, although I think Sunday is the better of the two weekend days. Amanda and Chris, I have a dilemma here. We just bought this shirt and now they've given me this shirt. So
yes.
I think, would you rather see me in this? This is a true medium. True medium.
True medium. Now, they didn't have a small available for you, Keith?
No, true medium. I'll put it on for the next shot. You'll see. I'll probably be like, I got to get more jacked.
Do it then.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see it. All right. Thanks, Keith.
I like those colors, Keith. Well done.
All right. Still to come on now.
I hope that they are going to fully understand the gravity of what I said. And what I said is what I mean.
President Trump says the U.S. military is locked and loaded to defend Guam from a North Korean threat, taking tensions to a new level.
And travel to North Korea is pretty much halted because of the threat to Americans, but one young woman visited months ago and gives us a look at what life is like in the very secretive country.
President Donald Trump is warning North Korea to stand down, tweeting this morning that military solutions are now fully in place, locked and loaded, should North Korea act unwisely. He also retweeted a post from U.S. Pacific Command saying bombers in Guam are ready to complete their mission if called upon.
Now, this is the latest development in growing tensions with North Korea. The hermit country threatened the U.S. territory of Guam, and the president responded with threats of fire and fury earlier this week. For years, the international community has condemned North Korea for building up their illegal nuclear arsenal, but the country's leader is determined to have the weapons, testing their warheads and developing international ballistic missiles. But there's still much we do not know about their nuclear capabilities.
Well, there's a lot we don't know about the country in general. Their borders are tightly held and few Americans are actually allowed to travel.
And on our end, the State Department updated their travel warning just yesterday, saying they strongly warn U.S. citizens not to travel to North Korea. But before the situation escalated to this level, a student in Texas spent some time in North Korea as part of her study abroad. She gives us a rare glimpse inside the country.
Grace Fletcher loves to travel. She even spent a few years teaching in China.
The last year I was there, my friend said, hey, they're running a race in North Korea. Would you like to go? I'm like, okay, yeah.
a rare chance to see the mysterious country.
I was like, when else am I going to have this opportunity to travel to North Korea?
But before the trip even started, she says they got a list of warnings.
Do not talk about North Korea in any disrespectful manner. Make sure that you're not bringing up any politics. Just go and observe. Really be there as a tourist.
Fletcher made sure to follow all the rules.
Even though you have a hotel room to go back to, you still kind of are a little hesitant to actually speak openly because you really do not know who is listening.
She says they ran along city streets and into a stadium lined with North Koreans. It was 5 days of positive words about the country.
It's a lot of your tour guide speaking very positively about Kim Jong-un and Kim Jong-il and how strong and confident, you know, the soldiers are and how great it is to be here and to be part of a beautiful country as North Korea.
For most of the trip, Fletcher says they weren't allowed to take photos until they got to the U.S. ship captured during the Korean War.
It was scary to see how much of satisfaction and how they're beaming over this fact of these are your soldiers' garments. We took over that ship.
Despite those fears, she thinks a travel ban will only encourage people to find a way to see it for themselves.
I feel that if people want to visit, they're going to visit.
A visit she's thankful she got to take and come home from safely.
Fletcher went to North Korea months ago before the State Department issued their latest warning.
Now, effective September 1st, Americans will need a special passport validation to travel there, and the State Department says they will only grant those under limited circumstances. At least 16 U.S. citizens have been detained in North Korea over the past 10 years.
Want to check in on our Pulse question? It is still live right now, so log on to pulse.newscentermaine.com to vote or select the Pulse tab on our mobile app. Question is, what should be the federal government's first priority under the proposed national emergency? Should it be more space for inpatient treatment, taking more legal action against drug dealers, or spending more time and money on education and prevention? And you can share your opinion on our Facebook live stream as well. So far, arresting drug dealers seems to be pulling slightly ahead, but you can keep voting.
All right, we'll look for your votes later on the show. Hey, after a strong comeback today, a Maine team is one game away from the Little League World Series, and they've got some serious fans back home. High hopes for these kids when we come back.
Carson is at the boat show in Rockland. He'll have your weekend forecast in just a moment. All right, the kids from South Portland representing Maine in the New England Regionals of the Little League World Series have made it to the championship game.
After falling behind early, Maine rallied for a heart-stopping 7-6 victory over New Hampshire. Now, the team has created quite a buzz. Fans were watching today's game at bars and restaurants around town. We caught up with one of their teachers who couldn't be prouder of the natural, Hef, and Big Daddy Hacks.
I've been watching Nolan and Andrew Heffernan all year. I've been watching Nolan since the regular season, and so all these other boys that are in on it too are just great characters, and Richie Gilboy is just the best, most hilarious too. So it couldn't happen to a better bunch of kids.
You know, Richie's gone viral now, right?
I heard that. We have a daughter who's the same age as them, and she said, "Mom, today Richie had 1,200 more followers."
You have to look him up on Twitter if you haven't seen him yet. As the final out was recorded, fans at Buffalo Wild Wings in South Portland erupted. The only team that stands between Maine and Williamsport is Connecticut. Game time is 1 o'clock tomorrow. That game will be on ESPN. And Chris, I believe you will be in Bristol tomorrow for that game.
That's right. Have complete coverage on air and online of the big game. Hey, speaking of big games, football is back, and a rookie running back spent just a few hours on the field with the defending Super Bowl champions, the New England Patriots, and he now says the NFL is slow and easy.
That's a bold statement for someone who just played in his first professional preseason game, but Leonard Fournette is expected to be a powerhouse this season. The number 4 overall draft pick in the 2017 told an NFL.com reporter that he was expecting last night's game against the Pats to be more difficult, saying, quote, "It's a lot slower than I really thought." Now, he also says a lot of people warned him the game would be fast, but he says it's really easy compared to playing in the SEC.
Now, Fournette and the Jaguars beat the Patriots 31-24 at Gillette Stadium last night. The running back ran for 31 yards and scored a 1-yard touchdown. He came to the Jaguars after a stellar performance at Louisiana State University. But there's a huge catch to Fournette's statement. Last night, he wasn't playing against New England's best talent. The Pats decided to let their second stringers take the field, while their starters mostly got the night off. So, you think about who he's up against. Now, Trevor Bates was out there a lot last night, made a lot of good tackles. We talked to him after the game. But it's a guy who succeeded very much in the SEC, which is in college, one of the most difficult. It's basically NFL, you know, right below the NFL.
Right.
So many of those guys are going to the NFL, so you can understand why a guy would be poised to do well in the pros.
Right.
But if you're not going against Tom Brady and Dante Hightower and
haven't brought out the big guns yet. Yeah.
Just you wait.
Take a time out. And speaking of, let's go to Keith with his orange shirt and
the
pink
big guns.
Shorts. And the big guns, yeah.
Yeah. I got a little conflict here. I agree with you, Coco, by the way. You cannot trash talk after one preseason game. That's just not going to turn out well. All right, I'm here with John Hansen. John's going to tell us a little bit about this boat show. Tell us why people should come up to Rockland and check this out.
The Maine Boats Homes and Harbor Show brings some of the most creative people, boat builders, home builders, artists, furniture makers, all to one place on the coast. I mean, if you tried to see they're all here in Rockland, and the energy for this is just palpable.
And you, I mean, obviously people who are ocean people are in tune with the weather, right? A lot of people here in tune with the weather have their own radar, all that stuff.
Oh, definitely, and a lot of them have their own folk sayings that keep them, you know, out of the weather. I mean, this is an attuned maritime culture that we're talking.
And John, one question for people at home. Are there any boats here that most people can afford? Do we have some smaller boats that you know, are more attainable?
We do. We have a whole section of the show this year called the Small Boat Love-In in honor of the 50th anniversary of the Summer of Love. And there are some great boats, a lot of them built by a Maine builder called Corson. And these are old, really almost indestructible fiberglass boats that you could find in Uncle Henry's or Craigslist and restore for very little money and get into the great world of boats.
But thank you, John. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
The weather tomorrow for the show in the rest of Maine, a little bit iffy, unfortunately. We got some nasty thunderstorms going on right now across northern Maine. A severe thunderstorm towards Topsfield. That one has some hail in it for sure. Broader picture showing you quite a bit of moisture off to the west. That's tomorrow's weather, and the clouds are going to come with it. So tomorrow doesn't look great. A lot of clouds. Most of the showers, I think, are earlier in the day. So that's some good news if you want to get out here to Rockland or anywhere really. By about noon, we're in much better shape. It's cloudy, but it's not all that rainy. We drive the front through on Sunday morning, and I think Sunday is definitely the better of the 2 weekend days. There'll be a few showers left over, but we'll be able to clear out during the afternoon, and then high pressure builds in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. All look really nice. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast showing you some of the showers moving in tomorrow morning. A couple of them will be heavy early in the day, but again, by midday we start to just get cloudy, and then we begin to clear out as we head into Sunday afternoon after some showers on Sunday morning. High temperatures tomorrow will be kept down by the clouds, upper 60s along the coastline, even some low 70s. The best we'll do is around 74, 75 in a place like Sanford. Real quick, let's take an early look at the eclipse. Everyone's talking about that on the 21st, the very edge of our computer model data, but at this point it looks like we might have a cold front to compete with, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see if we're able to clear out in time. So here's a look at the next couple of days. Again, the weekend is split, but I'll tell you what, it looks fantastic. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, probably into Thursday as well. I don't see anything that jumps out at me in the medium range and says that we're all of a sudden going to tank this pattern. So if you have next week off, it's going to be fantastic. Temperatures will get into the mid-80s inland. And guys, you may notice that John didn't mention how inexpensive the inexpensive boat was, but I guess it's all a relative thing.
Yeah, he did not give us a price tag on that, which if you have to ask, you can't afford it anyway, right?
That's true.
Ask if they'll give you one for free, Keith.
Oh, yeah. That's part of the job. All right. Thanks, Keith.
All right, small confession, guys. Thanks to Google, I got 0 work done today. Have you been on the website today yet? The Google Doodle is celebrating the birth of hip-hop 44 years ago. I'm Katie Ortiz with your social stop and how you can spin a little something on the turntables. The Google Doodle starts off with Fab Five Freddy explaining how the extended break in hip-hop came to be, thanks to DJ Kool Herc back in the early 70s, thus the art of breakdancing. Next came the Master of Ceremony, or the MC, to keep the party going. Now, here's where you can learn, though, how to become a DJ yourself. Google lays down a tutorial of the basics using a crossfader to mix the different beats, selecting different records, the classics, of course. They even show which other artists have sampled those tracks in their own music. And guys, fun fact, I was DJ KO back in the day, not gonna lie. So
DJ
y'all better
KO.
watch out for me.
Ones and twos for KO.
And
Okay.
all right, really quick, favorite hip hop artist right now?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, well, mine's old. It's Tribe Called Quest.
All right,
Wow.
classic. There
Kind
you
of
go.
harken back to the MCs.
I can't think of one, but
What?
we're getting a wrap anyway. So sorry, chance to wrap anyway. We'll be right back. Okay, no brain drops today because Keith is live at the boat show, but just down the road, the Rockport Fire Department was conducting a sort of voluntary toll booth.
Photojournalist John Blunda shows us why people are putting bills in boots.
Hello, we do a voluntary boot drive every year.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
The fundraiser helps with 3 scholarships for students that are going to further their education to the fire science or even EMS field.
I got a scholarship.
Thanks.
Thanks, Em. And the money came from this.
I'm amazed at how many people from out of state donate. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. That's been my biggest thing that I've noticed.
We also help out in the need of some families in the holidays. We do an adopt a family every year. So we put our funds back in towards the community.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Everybody you see out here is a volunteer. Everybody out here has a full-time job that they're taking time away from to help out.
Well, when you go to a call and someone's not necessarily hurt, but they were in the call, and they thank you and they say, oh, I'm so glad you came, or I don't know what I would do without you, it just makes you feel so great.
It just really is amazing to me how supportive they are for the community towards the fire departments. I've been on it for about a year and a half now, late in life.
Oh, yeah. Well done.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I wanted to donate to the community, but this is just amazing, just as an eye-opener at how generous people still are.
So we want to take a quick look at the pulse question that we have at the bottom of our screen now. What should be the federal government's first priority when it comes to the opioid crisis? We've been asking you about this for the past half hour. You've been weighing in. Right now, our results, 46% for more treatment, 44% for arresting drug dealers. So pretty neck and neck on those two.
All right, News Center at 5:30 starts right now.